So it's around $700,000 for a Huracan, which is a 2015. What's going on, guys? Hope you're having a great day. In today's video, I'm kind of going to be going over the different prices of Lamborghinis across the world. To me, this is kind of interesting because, I would always look on Auto Trader for me in Vancouver, and I would see, prices, whatever, for example, 350,000. And then I would look in the States, and some would be 200,000 US, some would be 250,000. And then you would look in places like in Toronto, Ontario, and the prices would be $30,000 less for the same car. And then sometimes I would look in Asia, and you'd see that the prices are 3 times the price that it is here. Okay, so the first thing I always like to do when I look at any car, go on Auto Trader. I really like Auto Trader because it's just easy to kind of look for different cars, kind of see what's available around your general location. I will say though, it might not be the best for finding like really good car deals because sometimes Auto Trader they'll post like deals for whoever paid them the most amount of money. It doesn't happen that often, but it's just good to always fact check and kind of look at other sources to see if that price that you're looking at is pretty accurate. But let's take a look right now. So let's go here, Lamborghini. We'll just do, for this video, probably just do Huracan because I think that's the one that you guys are probably most familiar with, or that most people know and kind of see. And max price, we'll just leave that. Let's take a look. Okay, so we have, so see what I mean? There's this thing's priority listing. Let's see, we got some Performantes, got an LP610-4, some of these, but okay, let's just leave this tab. And now I'm kind of curious. Let's see, how much do you think? Take a look in, for example, Alberta. So right off the bat, you see you got a 610-4 for 277,000 and it has around 5.8k kilometers. I mean, go back here, you can see I have no idea why this is almost the same price. It's a 2015 versus a what's it called, 2017. This one has more miles and this is only around 20,000 kilometers. So already you can see just from the province, there's a $20,000 discrepancy. This is really high mileage. But honestly, at 219,000, you could drive this car for 2 years and not lose any money at all. To be honest, from what videos I've watched, Huracans are extremely reliable cars, and most people say they have 150 to 200,000 miles and they don't have any issues. But one thing to actually really important to you guys is that in Vancouver we have something called the luxury tax. And you know what? I'm just gonna do. Let's take a look here. So right off the bat, any car you pay 12% PST, and then depending on the price of the car, you pay additional tax. You can see on a car that's this much, 150,000 and over, you're paying 20%, and that's just PST. So we also have GST, which is 5%. So normally it's 7%, and then you add the extra 5, you get 12% on any car less than 55,000. Anything over 55, I guess, you pay 12%, and then it tiers up to 15% and then 20%. So even if you take a look, so for example, this one, right? If we just do a quick calculation, so you're paying $62,000 in taxes on a Lambo, and then if you look at Calgary, here's the interesting part. If you look at Calgary, I think, let's take a look. Tax for cars in Alberta, I'm pretty sure it's like 5%. Let's see how much it is. So anywhere between 12% and how, so let's just say 12%. So let's say if we just do the same car and we do 12%. So you're literally paying $30,000 more for a car here just in taxes, and I'm pretty sure it's actually less. Yeah, so there we go. 10%. Anyway, so you're already looking at $30,000 more in tax for a worse car, if that makes any sense. Now let's take a look at a couple of cars in the States. Specifically, I'm just going to do LA because I feel like most people know LA the most or whatever, but so Lambo. Where is the Lambo all makes? Here we go. Oh, oh, oh. Okay. I hate how Auto Trader doesn't put like the popular makes there. Okay, Huracan. Okay, so for simplicity's sake, I'm gonna convert everything into Canadian. if you guys want, you can convert it back to American. All you have to do is multiply by 1.3 if you're going from US to Canadian. Okay, so let's try to find the exact same car. Okay, right off the bat, 2016 for 200,000. Take a look here. So this one, for example. Now let's just convert this times 1.3. So actually, 266,000 is not too bad, honestly. Considering that the one in Calgary was what, 277,000. So I know one thing that people are probably gonna get upset about is that the options. So the options really, really make a difference, especially on like all these exotic cars. Like you can have a bunch of different options. I'm looking at Porsche specifically, but so this is kind of to give you more of a general idea. If you wanted to look into the specifics, you'd have to probably go in and try to spec out and look at all the spec options and see. It's really hard actually to find the specific spec on AutoTrader unless you go in person and look at the car. Even then, you gotta like ask the dealer like what the spec sheet is. Surprisingly, in the States, it's not too bad. So one thing to note though is this average salary. So for example, if let's say you are someone who makes $100,000 Canadian in Canada and Vancouver specifically, that's a really good salary. It's pretty hard to make. You're definitely top 5% top earners. But if you look at the States, making 80,000 to 100 American dollars a year, if you're a software developer or something along those lines, is not too unreasonable. So that's pretty interesting. Actually, I'm gonna try one more thing. I'm gonna do any. See if we can find the cheapest one. What? Wow, why is this one so cheap? It's really cheap. 880. I actually wonder why this one is so cheap. Maybe some accidents? Take a look. Oh, yeah. Accidents those are the ones that'll get you. Whoa. Wait, is that what they said here? They say that it's rebuilt? Okay, so it doesn't even tell you. So most likely this car had some major damage. Could be rebuilt. I think it was actually rebuilt title. Yeah, salvage. So it's always kind of sketch getting a salvaged car. Okay, now let's take a look at the European market and see how much it costs to own a Lambo there. So I've gone ahead and trying to find a website where I can actually get prices for cars in Europe. I'm using this website called Auto Scout 24. I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with this website. I have no idea at all. I just kind of Googled it. But if you guys have any good websites to use for looking at cars, let me know in the comments. But right off the bat, we're going to take a look at this Huracan in Germany. So let's see how much it costs. So I'm going to convert this to Canadian. So about 242,000, which considering that it's pretty low mileage, is actually not bad. Honestly, all things considered, it's not too bad. But one thing for sure I know is the tax. So from what I've read, VAT is 19% in Germany. So $288,000 Canadian. Which actually, if you go back to here, is not too bad. I mean, I guess it works out in the end just because of the tax being 19%, and then in Canada it's 25%. So it's not too surprising. One additional thing though, in Germany, for specifically, I found this website that gives you, I think, a yearly tax that you have to pay on your car. I'm not sure how this works. If anyone can correct me, please do. So there's another 495 euros. But honestly, if you're buying this kind of car, you don't really care about that. We'll go ahead and take a look at somewhere in Denmark or one of the Nordic countries, because from what I've read, the tax there is absolutely crazy, and it's actually one of the reasons why most people now are buying electric cars. So let's go look into it. Okay, so just from a quick Google, I found, just reading this quickly, anything over this price. What is this? Let's see. Anything over what? Oh, okay. Okay, maybe this is why. There's probably a bunch of, let's say 180% tax. Okay, so let's just use a similar Lambo that's in the price. So for example, this one. Let's use this one for example. So this one would be, that's just in euros. Just in euros. That's actually insane. You're already looking at almost twice the price of the car just in tax So you're paying basically for 2 Lambos in Denmark. And now I can see why people, buy electric cars, because I think they get a lot of tax breaks and stuff. But now we're gonna go to a place that I think is even worse, which is somewhere in Asia, and it's in Singapore. Let's take a look. Okay, so I went ahead and tried to look for a website where we could find cars in Singapore. Looking at some Huracans here, and it's just it's just crazy. Like, honestly, like, okay, let's take a look at this one. So this is a 610-4, 12,000 kilometers on it, and price is $700,000. Okay, and then there's the depreciation. So that's, I guess, how much it depreciates a year. So there's a road tax. So something really interesting in Singapore, you need something called a COE, which is a certificate of entitlement. And basically, it's something that you have to pay before you can buy the car that lets you register the car. And you get it for 10 years. So pretty much you buy a car and you buy this COE, and it lets you keep your car for 10 years. After the 10 years, you either scrap it or you buy another COE. So like on this car where it's already 750,000, it doesn't seem that bad. But like you can get cars that are 100,000 and then you have to pay 50,000 on top of that. But compared to everything else, this is just crazy. So let's just take a look how much this is in Canadian. So that's my seven. Yeah, so it's basically 1-to-1. So it's around $700,000 for a Huracan, which is a 2015. So if you thought you had it bad for how expensive cars there are in your area, I don't think anyone can beat this place. And yeah, it's pretty crazy actually. So I've gone ahead and made this very nice looking Excel spreadsheet. No, actually I'm terrible at Excel. But I made this, kind of went over all the different cars and just looked at different interest rates and kind of basically made a table for you guys to take a look at. So let's look at Vancouver. So right off the bat, we see that tax is 25%. We know that is high. So in all the examples, I used a $50,000 down payment Canadian with a 60-month term and 6.99% interest. So interest is one of those things where it really can vary based on your credit. It can be based on a bunch of different things. So we just left it at that. It could be lower, it could be higher, whatever. And so we see here in Vancouver, you're looking to pay around $64,000 Canadian in tax, or 47K US. And the monthly payment is around 6,000 Canadian and 4.8K USD. So now let's take a look at the next one. So let's look at Calgary. So this is actually a newer car. It has lower mileage. It only costs a little bit more. And so correction, previously I said the tax was something along the lines of 10%, but that's not the case. So how it works is in Calgary, if you buy a used car from a dealer, you only pay GST, which is 5%, which is like so nice. Like you can already see that crazy discrepancy between the tax here. So with a $50,000 down payment, basically same. It's almost about $1,800 dollars cheaper a month, maybe 1,600-ish, whatever, or like 1,000 US, 1,200 US cheaper a month to drive it in Calgary. So the next thing, let's take a look at someplace in the States. So in Los Angeles, it's the highest mileage car right now out of all of these. You're looking at 266,000 Canadian or 200,000 US. So the interest rate in LA, I think from what I've read, it varies from county to county. The tax. So we'll just leave it at 9%. And surprisingly, similar amounts of payments per versus the Canadian one. Although the Canadian one is a better car, in my opinion, in terms of its newer year, lower kilometers. So the payments are pretty similar. I'm actually kind of surprised. I thought it would be a lot cheaper, but there's a lot of different variables that go into this. Okay, so the prices in Europe. So Berlin, Germany. That's the other one car that I found in Europe. So 2015, 5,000 miles, and this is around 165,000 euros, 186,000 US. So you pay 90% VAT, and you're looking around, surprisingly, again, almost the same as the payments for Calgary and LA, which honestly, when I was doing this, it really surprised me that the payments were so close to each other. Might be because I put 50,000 down and 6.99% interest, so that's probably something to do with it. But yeah, these are the ones that are pretty good. Okay, so this is the one where you guys are actually going to be in shock. So we look at here, we look at Singapore. We can see that It's a 2016 Huracan, 12,000 kilometers, not that good. Okay, whatever. Yeah, $790,000 Canadian, 550K US. 550K. Well, that's like the price of an Aventador SV. So then tax, I don't know, it's kind of hard. I couldn't really find it. Basically, there's a calculator that put all the numbers in and does all the calculations for you. And I think this maybe includes tax. So if I'm wrong, feel free to correct me. So you got the COE that you have, which is 55,000 Canadian. And let's look at this, 12,812 Canadian dollars a month. One really important thing though is that in Singapore you have to put between $30,000 and $40,000, between 30 and 40% of the car's value as a down payment. So in reality, you're going to be putting down around 250K Canadian, and then you're going to be paying this much. So that's what it's more likely. But in the case, trying to compare apples to apples, we see that this is almost, not almost, this is 2x the price of Vancouver and almost 3x the price of everywhere else, which is pretty crazy overall. So yeah, so that's the different prices of Lamborghinis around the world. I hope that was a good video for you guys and you guys enjoyed it. Pretty interesting to me seeing the different prices across different countries. There's obviously so many different things that places we could look at, but for this video, not enough time. So this is my first video. I'd appreciate any criticisms, anything that you guys would like to see me do better, things that you would like me to leave out, all that kind of stuff. So any kind of feedback would be really appreciated. And let me know if you like videos like this. I can do more videos of me going over different cars, different countries, different places, all these different variables. I can do all that kind of stuff if you guys like it.